Hello to all aspiring founders. Today we're going to play a game. It's called Startup Buzzword Bingo. So I've been around startups long enough to have heard all of these terms literally 1,000 times. And I'm frankly sick of them. Never want to hear them ever again. If you're starting a business, there's no secret language or secret sauce. And frankly, I actually think using these terms in front of an investor or someone in venture capital probably hurts you more than helps you because it feels like you're trying to fake it. Right? So we'll go through these words, and if I miss any, drop them in the comments and we can have a chat about it there. But when I play this game with you, every time you hear one, whether it's in this video or somewhere else, we're going to take a shot of coffee. All right. Disruptive. You're not disruptive if you've just started or it's just an idea. You're disruptive when you've already got a shit ton of paying customers that have moved away from the traditional product or service that you're trying to disrupt. Right now, you're just annoying, which isn't a bad thing. Like, imagine something small being annoying, like a mosquito in the room. It still has some form of impact or annoyance, but you're not disruptive. You know what's disruptive? My wife and I have a newborn baby that's almost 4 weeks old. That's disruptive. We haven't slept more than 2 hours at a time over the last 4 weeks. All right, the word pivot. The word pivot is the worst. Frankly, it just means you have no idea what the fuck you're doing and you got to change course of direction, which is totally fine, but just be honest. Just be like, we tried this, it didn't work. Don't be like, oh, we're going to pivot in this direction because X, Y, Z. We can all smell through the bullshit, right? Because most of the time, whoever you're pitching to has gone through that experience themselves, so they know what pivoting actually means. So, no pivot. X-nay on the pivot nay. MVP, minimum viable product. I never want to hear that word again because it's a sorry excuse for people to put shit out to the market. You got to remember that at the end of the day, first impressions last. And I am a firm believer that done is better than perfect, but please make it at least, decent. Put some effort in, make sure you're solving a problem and you're trying to create an experience and you're not just rushing something out there for the sake of it. Don't just put something out there and claim it's innovative. Oh, fuck, innovation, innovative. That's one of the terms that I should be putting on this list. I never want to hear that again. Plus, the word innovative has just been gobbled up by corporate culture. Right? It's used by big companies now as an excuse for them to fund R&D projects or to say their team is building an innovative project. So you almost, as a startup, need to move away from that, right? Reclaim or create another word. I don't know. I'm sick of hearing it. And also, I don't even know if many people know what MVP stands for these days, like Gen Z founders and millennials.
Well, it's sports analogy.
Sports analogy.
Most valuable player.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, see? They probably think MVP is sports, most valuable player. So just be careful using that term. It sucks anyway. Hustle. We all know the term hustle actually means you're fucking burnt out, right? I see way too many founders out there, especially the young ones, almost boasting and proud of the fact that they're not getting any sleep and they're working really hard and they're hustling and grinding. When I hear the word, I get it. Like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do and get your brand and your message out there. But when I hear the word hustle, I'm like, oh gosh. I actually think of I'm being hustled right now by this founder spitting bullshit. It's almost like a snake oil salesman. So don't use the word hustle. Kind of like hustling, networking. Man, even when I think about my days as an early founder, let's all be realistic. Networking, you don't really actually get that much value out of it. Or I don't think I did. You collect 100 business cards, you circle jerk with a bunch of people, but you don't actually help one another on a tangible scale. It's good in the sense that it makes you feel good and it might fuel you, especially if you're an extroverted type founder. But I think it's just a huge waste of time. I mean, the best thing about networking probably when you're first starting is the free food and beer. Right? Because I was broke as shit when I first started my company, and when we made money, we pumped it back into the business. We weren't really paying ourselves for a long time. So I was sick of hearing networking as one of the things that you're going to bring to the table to grow your business. Oh, I've got a really good network. I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. I call bullshit. So don't use the word networking. And I'm actually a firm believer when it comes to networking that if you do something great and you build something great, your network will form around that. Right? Not by doing all these bullshit handshake conversations, inauthentic, meetings and all that kind of stuff. If you ever go to a networking event because you're forced to or someone twists your arm, I would advise, rather than run around and try and meet as many people as possible, just try and have a couple of really focused conversations with certain individuals. You'd be really surprised what comes out of it because you're actually having a proper conversation with someone. growth. I am so sick of seeing this word misused. Do you know how many times in pitch decks I've seen pitch decks? That's another fucking one, but we'll do growth first. Where someone says we have grown our revenue by 100%, which sounds super impressive, or we've grown our customer base by 200%. But you've grown it from fucking 1 to 2 people or 3 people. They kind of put that in the footnotes, or they really don't explain the survey or the plot test they've taken from. So it's kind of like growth is this sensationalized or romanticized figure that you need. And frankly, I get it. If you're looking for funding, you need to demonstrate that. But as a first-time founder or an early entrepreneur, I genuinely believe you shouldn't be focusing on growth necessarily. You should just focus on how can you make margin within your business, how can you grow organically, how can you keep your costs low, and worry about growth after you figure that out, right? Because if you are bootstrapped or you have a limited amount of seed capital and you figure out how to build a product and grow that way, whatever industry you're in, when you figure out a scaling strategy, it's not attached to a fucking big bag of money. You're figuring out ways how to grow in a very lean manner, which means that, sky's the limit in terms of your growth, and you can kind of, I was going to say pivot, but I wasn't going to use the word pivot. And you can change your strategy as you see fit. Pitch deck. Okay, so, and I've wrestled with this one a shit ton, both during my startup career and even today, because I lead a team within a Fortune 200 company. I've pivoted to a corporate career, right, where I have to build decks all the time when I'm pitching new product offerings within commercial real estate. I'm there with you, right? Like there's this black hole you can go into where you think you need to copy the Airbnb deck, the Canva deck, whatever deck raised 100 million. You're like, I need these 10 exact slides. That is not the way to do it. People see through it like a clean sheet of glass. The best thing that you can do, yes, you've got certain metrics that you need to show, like what industries, how you think you're going to target them, what problem you're going to try to solve. But if there's a way to tell that story in your way, just pretend you're having a conversation with someone and you're trying to make it as concise as possible and let your character and your brand come through it. I think that's the way to do it. Your pitch deck does not need to look like the last 10 that successfully raised money. That's how you get into your own head and you fuck up your own product offering and how you want to communicate it. Because you're moving away from this incredible, passionate idea you have and the whole reason you're doing this in the first place, and you're conforming to something that has nothing to do with it, just because you think that's what it means to be successful. I actually think the best decks I've ever seen more recently have been like nothing I've ever seen before, right? They may even be missing shit but then the deck, think about it. The deck is all about getting the white of someone's eyes, getting someone excited about a prospect and potentially you. They can ask you questions, whether it's via email, a meeting, or a call. So don't worry about missing some of the stuff. Just make sure that you come through that deck, right? So be you, make sure the brand comes through. Don't overthink it. Whether you're on LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever, and you see you get pushed, oh, this deck is the best, don't even open it, all right? Because you're going to go down a rabbit hole. All right, so that's Startup Bingo. Hopefully you had fun. If you hit bingo, you should be totally caffeinated if you've used or heard any of these words in the last week or so. If I've missed any again, drop them in the comments. I'd be super stoked to do another video like this if you guys enjoyed it. But till then, good luck. You got this. And whatever your idea is, just give it a solid shot, because you're going to learn a ton from that experience. So I'll speak to you again soon.